Welcome to Intro to Visual Studio Code's Boundary Toolkit. This is our overview of features, workflows, and how to get started. Who in here is already building agents? And are you building agents like Copilot? Yeah. By Studio? Yeah. All right. Boundary? Not yet. Yes. Yes. All right. Everywhere, all over the place. Claude, ChatGPT, OpenAI, all the things. Everybody has them. ServiceNow. Take your pick. Um, so, dang, you're excited. Um, we're going to look at the now labeled Foundry Toolkit today. Before we get started, I'm going to show you the slide. I haven't talked to them all already on the Expo Hall. Go visit the vendors. This year's vendor slide, not last year's, like yesterday. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, thanks to the gold, silver sponsors, they all make this happen. So thanks everybody. Go check them out. Swag. A little bit about me. My name is Toland. Hello. I have lived here, born and raised Colorado for all my life. I'm excited to move somewhere with water. My daughter graduates high school. Of my kids, my kids, I have two children, two dogs, one wife. Current joke is that my wife has three kids. Oh, poor wife. I also run a Feature Frontier. I co-run a podcast called Feature Frontier where we talk about Copilot. Last month's latest drops of what happened on the Copilot release cycle. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's fun. Me and Chris get in there. We kind of break down all of the features drops, what our thoughts are on practical applications of how to use any new feature coming out for Copilot. Sometimes we talk about Copilot Studio too. The QR code there will take you to my link tree. Me up on LinkedIn. Maybe check a link for Feature Frontier. Hey, what we're gonna cover today. We'll talk about what is Foundry Toolkit for VS Code, formerly AI Toolkit. Now, not to be confused with the M365 toolkit, they're different. They're formerly Teams toolkit, all the different toolkits. This is now called the Foundry toolkit, and you'll see when we open Visual Studio Code, it's still inside of Visual Studio called the AI toolkit. Because love rebranding all the time. It's fantastic. I did not mention, but I should mention it now. I now work for Microsoft, so you'll hear me say some things in here that are like Microsoft would not recommend that, but I'm going to recommend it, and then I'll tell you Microsoft answer too. So you'll get that. Okay, let's talk about why it matters and what its core capabilities can do. We'll look at some of the architecture, and we'll talk about workflows for building or workflows for designing. Like, what would your strategies be for how to design and for different locations of models or types of models? What would be a driver for things? We'll look at getting started for your install and your first run. We'll also take a look at your demo plans and best practices. And then final slide is resources. So what is Foundry, you might ask? It's a VS Code extension. The Foundry toolkit is Foundry is the host for your own custom coded agents. And generally Microsoft Foundry runs in Azure, hosts any agents that you would build so that you no longer need to go. In the early days, we would go through Azure's OpenAI, uh, have to build all of our resource groups, have to build really any of the search index that you were building, all independently. Foundry wraps up a lot of that stuff into templatized deployment strategy and helps accelerate development in Foundry Online. The Foundry toolkit is the local build structure to, again, accelerate you developing those agents and then deploying those agents based on what model you want to leverage, how you want code to go in your agent. Like if you're adding Python code to do machine learning or image recognition or document processing, all the things that you would need to an agent. And then the Foundry toolkit adds a lot of plumbing for easy packaging deployment to get that stuff structured for either a local run on your local equipment or running in Foundry as a service hosted up on Microsoft's Azure Foundry. Microsoft Foundry, no longer just Azure. All right. Love rebranding. It does work with local. I'm going to call that out. You see here, I call out Onks and Llama. There's Shin that we'll talk about too. Is Foundry Local can run on a Windows machine. You can deploy flat Foundry Local to your Windows machine and run the models easily locally without having to install a Llama or Unks if you don't want to go that far. Um, the models themselves are of any model that's available to you that you can download from any provider. You can run local. Those that are available in Foundry, there's 16,000 models available in the Foundry service on Azure today in the model catalog. So as we look through those, there's lots of those that are available to download the local. And then for those that aren't, let's pick on Google Gemini as a model that's not available on the Foundry catalog today. You can download it from Google and run it locally. And the Foundry Toolkit provides the plumbing Google's host. Oh, download that, run it on my local GPU or NPU for my own hardware. And then it provides, like it says here, the model catalog is available to you, the playground, the agent builder, but it also provides bulk run abilities. It provides evaluation and fine tuning for your agents. And that's having a conversation with another one of the speakers yesterday. Evaluation is really targeted towards, and kind of everybody is doing this in the AI space. Evaluation is for training and performance improvements on your agents. Output. It requires an input to get an output. So when you're doing an evaluation, automated agents, fully autonomous agents, it's a little different when you look at an evaluation bulk run over autonomous agent that a user's not chatting to, because your expected outcome will be different. Evaluations are geared towards soft, fuzzy answers, looking really familiar and trying to get them more dialed in versus a fully autonomous agents. So just, when you're looking at the tools that are in the toolkit, evaluation is one of them, but it's really geared towards conversational agents, those agents that users speak with or work. We used to call them on behalf of agents. Now it's agents that are leveraging delegated permission. Okay. Um, Talk a little bit about conversion, maybe get that far, and then tracing. Okay, so why does it matter? So the kit itself is meant to accelerate. You hear me say that a lot today. There's a lot of accelerators. You did hear me mention the M365 toolkit, the former Teams toolkit. The accelerators are there to get you from zero to blank slate to a boilerplate really fast. Um, some of the best part about this being built into VS Code as a plugin is now you have GitHub Copilot that runs right in your sidecar there. Bring any model to help you develop your agents that you're bringing any model into and developing with. So that's super helpful. Um, does the comparison, the evaluation, and fine tuning models pretty well. I would say not playing with other tools out there. Go get some. Go try them out. Try Claude Code for building agents. Try others to get a basis of comparison. This is, I think, comparatively, it does a pretty good job when you're helping to fine tune you are evaluating these agents that you're building. And then again, this has a lot of plumbing that's built in so that comparatively to others, when you're building Claude or iTooling or Snowflake, pick your platform. There's a lot of plumbing, a lot of other installable things you configure. This has a lot of that plumbing built right into the toolkit so that you're able to leverage your direct ML GPUs like an NVIDIA or an AMD GPU. Got them for gaming cards. Like that's what I run on is a crappy little gaming card. And they're really performant. Um, I don't have the big bucks for Copilot Plus PC, but they're getting a lot cheaper these days, built in NPU. And those are for dedicated AI processing, the model processing. So if you're able to get a Copilot Plus PC, they'll run any of the models from the catalog as well. You can run them in the NPU. And then on-prem is I call this out, or cloud endpoints. Cloud endpoints would be any Foundry gallery, Foundry's catalog, or other provider. We were plumbing this into OpenAI as their services or Quad's, Anthropic's Quad services as endpoints. You can tap into those through the toolkit as well, or on-prem. And this is a big deal. Um, lots of organizations have air-gapped networks. I'm not allowed to put my stuff in somebody's cloud. Can't put my data in Quad public cloud. I don't want to buy an enterprise license. So it's cheaper for me to buy my own GPU cluster and host on my own local network. And I can expose my own local GPU. Well, Foundry Toolkit can see that on your network and tap into that as you publish it out. So definitely big benefits there. So when we talk about architecture and workflow, right? What is every agent built of? Every agent has a little bit of code. That's what are you doing? think about your instructions and the muscles that it's going to use to achieve those instructions. They could be tools, they could be connectors to data, they could be um, formulaic equations that's going to do calculations, right? Like it's all the code and the instruction set that's in the agent. All of that runs the model for the natural language processing. I don't want to say natural language processing, not exclusive to that, right? Machine learning models, classic machine models or mathematical models are all still viable. I also want to call out that any language can be trainable model. A project 2 or 3 years ago for a company who we were pumping IOPS data, excuse me, IOPS worth of data from cloud connected solar panels. So they were all cellular pumping data back to a giant data warehouse. Ones and zeros was coming out of these signals. That's a language hardware layer. We were able to train a model from a machine learning model to do pattern recognition and post that. So our agents, natural language, understand our questions about tell me in this region where these bad signals were coming from. What device is having an issue? Find it proactively. So that was um, th- those are the components, right? It's the models that you want, fine tuned or natural language models, anything hosted in the garden, any of the instructions, and then wherever you're going to put the infrastructure, host all of that. Whether it's the infrastructure to host your agent or the infrastructure to host models themselves and the data that you're going to be pumping through this. Um, okay, so in the toolkit, we also get our playground, which you guys are probably all familiar with if you're exploring in agents, but we'll take a look at that if you're not. You do have your evaluation, your data sets, your metrics, your bulk runs, your fine tuning. I'm going to come down here. So fine tuning with QLoRa is kind of that's the classic fine tuning for agents of it's breaking down what did the query do and how do we response. Right. So when it comes back to the user, uh, do I get a similar set of accuracy out of every response during an evaluation set? And how do I fine tune that to drive the point home or get the right data extracted. So that's called QLoRa. That's kind of a pattern fine tuning. And so there's tools in here in the toolkit to help with that too. Um, Conversion is or quantization is taking another model and either uh, converting it for either hosting to a different place, converting to a different purpose, or kind of diluting the model so it's not as big down and dilute to convert them to through conversion. You can flip them into something smaller for specific use case. And then trace runs for observabilities. When you're running agent live, F5 and just go build and go do your thing. You have traceability here too. Okay, getting started. Basics. Well, the first thing we're gonna do is install the Foundry toolkit. It's in the plugins or in the extensions for Visual Studio Gallery. So go to the extensions gallery, find the Foundry toolkit for Visual Studio Code. It used to be the AI toolkit. Now it's called the Foundry toolkit. Like I said, when it installs, it still installs as the AI toolkit. You'll see it on the left-hand bar and any other extension that you install to Visual Studio Code. When you open that one up, you'll see you immediately are presented with several different sections. And we'll take a look at that in the demo here. We're going to go to models and pick a model. Like download a model from to run local, or you can run anything that's cloud hosted. Got a cloud hosted model in OpenAI's infrastructure again, or Anthropic's infrastructure, anything in Foundry, you can tap into any of those models. Or if you've got it locally, you can download it and install it to run local, or or go through like Llama, Hugging Face, or any of the other model providers, snag their model and run it on your own infrastructure to plug in. So we'll see that demo. I'll pull one down. I've already got one pulled down. So I was going to delete it, and pull it again, and then we can pull it in, or we can try it in the playground and see what we want to do for tweaking prompts or make it do something harder. As you, because it's in Visual Studio, if you've got GitHub, you can push this off to your own repos. Build and save and store and iterate for deployment. That does bring in the question of deployability. So, like when if you're in GitHub repos and you're using GitHub Actions, or you've got a CI/CD pipeline that's already built and deployed in your organization to do infrastructure deployment of whatever kind, but leverage it, plug right into that. So it's all available in Visual Studio Code. And then tip: I do say when you're running local with your GPU models, choose for DirectML acceleration. If you're going to run it on a GPU, DirectML acceleration. Other means to do this, I got to get into that. There's a lot of details of that, and it's kind of complicated. But I would always recommend choosing DirectML. It runs a lot better, smoother. Okay, talking of local recommendations. So Foundry local or the for the ONCs runtime, you do require a model conversion to pull it and flip it into the ONCs runtime for Gen AI. Um, Super viable, real easy to use, great instructions up there. We're going to see showing running it in Foundry local, which comes with the toolkit. Install the Foundry local and it'll run on. I'm going to run it on CPU because we're actually piped into a Windows 365 machine without an NPU or GPU installed to it. But we're going to run this off the cloud on the CPU online. And so we'll choose a little model from the Foundry local, hosted on our Foundry local. But hardware acceleration again with the DirectML for GPUs and NPUs necessarily don't need DirectML for the NPUs. It'll just naturally interpret it, run the model. There's nothing special you have to do for that. It's going to be just like when you see me do the Foundry local run. You just pick one that's meant for an NPU or a GPU. And the NPU on that device on your Copilot Plus PC will just run it. It's got the hardware to do it. And then .NET apps. So when you're using NuGet, if you're building a .NET app or versus like Python or whatever, however you're going to package this up, if you're running .NET, you want to grab the ONCs runtime on the ONCs runtime Gen AI. So that brings in kind of SDK capability for you to get some different code methods to leverage as you need them. Again, that really comes into play for like fine tuning. It'll come into play for model recognition. If you're in a multi-model scenario, you want to build your own little router to say, use it translates in Copilot versus reasoning or auto. Build your own auto route. It's going to be a requirement for anything running on the ONCs runtime for switching. Okay. So core features that you can use. Model catalog does say multi-source discovery as you pull multiple models down. Toolkit will automatically discover any of the models that you've got running, so it'll expose those to you. It also provides GitHub's ChatGPT 5 now that you can pull from GitHub and run with an unlimited context. Or if you have a GitHub subscription, you can run whatever your entitlement is. But the model catalog is going to pull from lots of different places for discovery, including anything that you've already got installed locally to detect those and show those to you on your picker. The playground for parameter experiments. I keep calling it supports local models. Can't stress that enough. It's great for development of local model or pushing to your own hosted GPU cluster with your own big stuff. A GPU cluster could be like 4 graphics cards. Doesn't have to be huge, and they could take on some really robust models with pretty crappy graphics card. If you're really looking to crazy with it, you could do some amazing things locally, either on your network or in a single inside of a machine. You can install the GPU inside the machine or put them off to the side and plug in a network cable. That's what I do. Be on my laptop with my NVIDIA card, like a 1080 something, 1050 something. It's kind of lame these days. And then I have another cluster that I'm a Power Platform person. It's my function at Microsoft. I teach people how to do Power Platform Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio can reach through the big I internet onto my local GPU cluster hosted in my office, run all my models off of that cluster. So it's totally hookable for all of your agent process, whatever you want to host online can also reach on-prem, tap into your local models as well. This is a little bit of plumbing. I think the other one I would call out here is under the agent builder and the structured output. The rest of this is for big runs. We're going to do bulk runs, evaluation, fine tunings, and then tracing for debugging. That gets, I feel like, more important. The tracing for debugging, performance specifically is more important when you're cloud hosting. You're burning up at a cost, right? Like there's a cost associated with every token you're burning. Definitely want to performance tune. So the tools in here for performance tuning and tracing are really deep in this toolkit again, compared to other tools that are out there from other providers. But the agent builder and structured output, the tool calling, something that I don't want to say is unique, You'll hear it called lots of different things. So in the Microsoft world, when we're looking at tools, that let's talk about Copilot Studio for a second. In the UI build experience in Copilot Studio, a tool could be Power Automate Flow, I build a prompt. It could be an MCP server. It could be an agent to agent call. Lots of different tool capabilities. External to that, you also have skills. That's kind of a universal tool from where we're talking about agent building. Skills generally are defined through Markdown language. It's just an MD file where you give it a bunch of instructions and a really detailed, gritty, the nitty gritty of what it's going to do as a skill, what the input or the output is, and then how you manipulate that. That's called a skill. Those are also tools that are available. So the Foundry Toolkit can tap into any breadth of all of those tool capabilities from what you would see in Copilot Studio. Find those, package those in your agents here, and then you can run them again locally, or you can run them on the cloud infrastructure. Okay, do it. Hold on. Okay, I love this slide, and I do have this on the last slide. I've got a resources guide. This is not a Microsoft product. This is Notebook LM. Anybody use Notebook LM in here from Google? Haven't used Notebook LM. Microsoft has notebooks. It's great, fantastic tool. Tool LM is definitely a few steps ahead in what it can do. This is their mind map capability, and this is the mind map of a bunch of YouTube videos and a few web page blogs that I put together. I collected in a notebook, and I said, build me a mind map to contextually correlate all of the data so that you can see from a topic for topic, fly through this. Show you that in a second here too when we get on the demo side. But you can actually click through and understand core concepts. And in some of these where they're video based, you'll click to the point in the video where they talk about a specific thing on the transcript. It's a really powerful tool. This specific one I did share out to everybody. So there's a link to this specific notebook that I've got in there. So anybody can grab it. It's on the last slide. So when we get there. All right. It's going to do it. Oh, no. Hold, please. Windows 365. It's great. Okay. It's because it's still running my LLM, my SLM. Limited memory on these boxes. Okay. So here's the demo we're going to do. We will do kind of like our initial steps that I was talking through. We'll download the model from the catalog. We'll start playing around in the playground. We'll see what kind of things we could do with the agent. And then hopefully we'll get all the way to a bulk run or a small eval set. We'll see how that goes. See if it behaves. Whoops, nope, backspace. This way, that way. Okay, switch back over to Visual Studio. Okay, so here's Visual Studio code. Find the Foundry toolkit. It's in here. It's listed as, can you all see that okay? Can you read that all right in the back? So it's Foundry. You'll see there's lots of different things for Foundry. So there's Microsoft Foundry, which is great. Recommend get that installed as well. It's helpful for an accelerator to bolt on with this. But the Foundry toolkit here is for building the agents locally with the lightweight local models, your slim models. And they kind of work in tandem. One's for building, one's for publishing. Here we go. Okay, so let's go to the Foundry one, the toolkit. This is what you're looking at. I would recommend go through the guide. This is fantastic walkthrough of what it's got in here, what capabilities you have. It's good time thing for when you can't at night. It's nice. But each of these is like a clickable video kind of walkthrough of how to use model evaluations, fine tuning, or any of those tools. So give it a go. It's a pretty good read and super easy to connect with. So once it's installed, you would do the install, and this is kind of what you're presented with across the screen here. So you'll have your My Resources. These are the things that you've used or built along the way, and anything that you've got connected to you or connected to Foundry. So you'll log into Foundry, got a Foundry configured in your Azure tenant. You log in there and be able to see your Foundry resources available to you with your permission. And then down here, these are our developer tools for when I'm going to discover something or I'm going to build something or monitor something like we're doing with our traceability. And then down here is helpful stuff. You want to ask Copilot. I'm going to call out directly. I'm running GitHub Copilot right here. So maybe we'll ask it for some guidance or something along the way. You guys can hit me with a test. Come up with something. Think of a scenario. Start thinking now. Get your creative juices going. Okay. So first, what we do is we generally will start in and pick a model. So under build, go down here. Oh, no, I don't want model conversion. Sorry. Immediate discover. I want to go to the model catalog. Let's see what's out here. All right, so as I'm looking through this model catalog, there's lots of options for filtration on the left here. I can pick a hosted by, who's the provider that's hosting this model. Where did it come from? Does it come from Anthropic? It's hosted on Google's infrastructure, so like Gemini. And you'll hear me say Gemini is not available in the Foundry gallery. It is currently exclusive to Google's infrastructure. You have to run on Google's infrastructure or your local infrastructure. So you can download the Gemini, the biggest Gemini you got, ram it on your own little GPU cluster. That's what I do. And now I got Copilot Studio that's powered by Gemini as well, right? So lots of plumbing, lots of help there. But you can run those local too. So as you're building, that's an option. If you want to pick on Gemini model to develop your agents with, that's a prettier or better one. And I'm picking on Google. They're not the only one that's hosting exclusively to their own cloud infrastructure. There's a few others that have also not. Hey, all right, application. Mute that. There's a few others that are also not published in Foundry Gallery, Foundry Catalog. But anyway, so as we're going through here, you can see GitHub has its own models that are hosted on GitHub. There's a few from, let's see, I don't see XAI listed in here, but they are in here. So lots and lots of different models. As we scroll across the screen, let's look for Microsoft Foundry on Windows. You one that says it's already Phi Mini. Oh, I must have deleted it. Right. Let's see. Phi Mini reasoning, Phi Mini CPU. What I'm after. 5.4, 5.3, Phi Mini. Take a look at this one. See what happens. This is the model card. This says this one is ported for aux. I'm not going to run the aux. So that one's going to need a GPU on it. Let's jump back in. It's not what I kind of did there, right? So like show me the details on this one. It gives you a description of like what hardware does it require, what installation framework is required. And if you're missing that installation framework, it'll go and you can start adding that for you. Just to cheat, fly over here, model catalog. I'm sorry, I'm going to go to my recent local resources models and click my fun little plus button here. Yeah, up top it says, hey, I have lots of places. Don't want to go through this big catalog. You have lots of places for. The top one says if you have an Llama model that's running local on Llama, you'll see I've got to add custom model from Unks, Hugging Face, or Microsoft Foundry. You can run from Foundry local models or custom models if you're hosting your own. Remember that bit and byte model that I was talking about from all of my connected solar panels? Pick your language, write your own model. You can roll your own on your own hardware. So I'm going to choose a Foundry local model, and you'll see it enumerates through. It says, great, what models are available for download to Foundry local today? You can see here, I've got DeepSeek R1. That's a pretty large one. But as I'm scrolling through, I've got a cheater mode where I can see across the top, it's got, or at the end of these, they all indicate for CPU. This is for GPU, CPU, GPU. I want a CPU one because this is just a super powered M365 cloud machine here. Let's pick this one. I like this Phi 3 one. Lightweight, small. You can see the size of it. So it's got roughly 2 gigs worth of file storage system. And then however much memory you can crank into it. Generally, they'll all come in and they'll throttle to half what you've got available. You'll see that happen here. So I'm going to pick this Phi 3. And up here, I'll say, okay, I got one selected. I want to do, okay. This goes and downloads the model, adds the model for me. You can see it going across the bottom right down the download status bar. You will download the model, use Foundry Local that's configured in with Toolkit. Foundry Local will host that model for me, and then I can address that with my agent. Talk to it locally on the CPU of this machine. Or GPU. If you pick the GPU one, it would fall to a GPU, or the NPU if you had a Copilot Plus PC, like where I'm going. Run it on your local infrastructure, and the Foundry Toolkit helps you pick what's the right optimal deployment. Okay, So if I see that now, I can look at the model playground. Model playground says, great, the model. You can tell it to do some stuff. Model playground is running a raw prompt against model, like going to ChatGPT or Anthropic, right? Like you just give it Claude, hey Claude, do something. Tell me something. What do we want it to tell us? What happened to the creative juice? What? Sponsor. Okay. Oh, let's do tell me a dad joke. Clear looking for a dad joke. Okay. Dad joke, not a joke about dads. What I did there. Okay. So this is cranking away on my cool little CPU here. You can see it just churning away. And on the CPU bit, that's my memory. It took up half my memory. Half what available you have. CPU bit, I got a little spike. That's pretty nice. That's just a tiny little spike. What was the joke? Sure. Here's one for you. Why don't scientists trust atoms? You make up everything, like my dad when he's. Oh, that's pretty funny. Okay, let's now say something to hit it a little harder. I have a blog that's full of dad jokes. Write a 10-page blog post with all about no post yeah all about this joke. Just key. Great, go. And there it goes. As you can see, stellar fast running on a CPU, a crappy little CPU. Not that much. Page one, set up it all. So what happened here? When I picked my model, see on the left, it defaults to the 256 for its return stack. If I double down on this or quadruple down on this, said make this 1024. Let's see it go. Give me something better. Run that again. You nope. That whole stack. Do that again. A little bit longer answer. Yeah. Or it totally crapped out of me. Unable to qualify 3 instruct. Did you crash? I use the tiniest little model. Oh, these Windows 365 machines are need to ask for an upgrade. Okay. Let's try it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Nope. No more token count. Okay. Trying. So that's really tiny fun. It says this model does not return token count. CPU is 50, GPU is 50, NPU. Sorry, GPU is 0, NPU 0, memory is 4.24 gig. Of the memory on this machine, I'm getting some telemetry out of what the model includes. Some of the models do include your full token count. So anything DeepSeek, anything OpenAI, if you're bringing any Anthropic models, they'll fully include token counts so that you can get a token optimization. This is a Microsoft model, Phi, however you pronounce it, FOFUM, however you pronounce that. The Phi models are all really tiny and total optimal GPU run. So as you can see, it's getting a little bit longer. It's cranking away. Its CPU is cranking away. I'm getting some burn out of this. That's maybe not the most way to do it. It's just leave it totally open-ended, right? So if I wanted to make an agent, let's let that thing keep going. It's going to keep cranking until it runs out of tokens again. But let's go over here and let's start into something a little harder. We want to make an agent. My little plus sign again. Back on my resource. Or I could come down here and create an agent. So the create an agent button. Close this up. Discard that one. We can make an agent today called Humsby next. I don't know. Hyphen 2026 0506. Wait. And now we'll see, pick a model. Again, as it's enumerating the model, it's going to look for what do you have local? Do you have anything installed local? If I had one configured on my network already, GPU cluster, or my on-prem stuff, I can pick through the browse where it'll list it if it's already plumbed in and I've used it in my recent resources. I don't have that on this cloud machine, but I could. You can add it to your models up there and plumb it through. but it will show on the existing list of what's running and accessible to the toolkit. Again, no having to dig around. But if I did want to go and need a different one, I can pick the browse models. This one takes me back off to the gallery where we were just looking at for the bigger subs or bigger superset of all the 16,000 that are available. Foundry and everybody else that's pushed out there. All right, so let's do this. We want some clear instructions. Oh, wait, no, I got to pick my model. Let's do fee. That's great. Okay, now who has a good idea? Yeah, that was all right. You are a weather joke bot. No, jokester that tells jokes about weather in any region that the user lives in. Ask them where they live and tell a location specific. Yo, keep it clean, behave yourself. Then follow up with a travel guide for that region. What? Something hard. Uh, for the week of July. All right, fine. July 4th. Wait. Hey, Copilot, can you improve this for me? But you know what? Because it doesn't always get it right. I'm like, I like that. I'm going to take this and I want to improve it. Selected model doesn't support prompt generation. Okay, fine. B5, right? B5, B5. Pretty small. Over here, you could say, hey, I don't want to run this with this one. I want to run this one with, I would like to ask my agent mode. Haven't done this before. I want to do flood. And I'm going to say, uh, better agent instruction. Well, it's starting. Well, and at least this and pasting what I got. Do it. Well, I was going to think about that for a second. What? Fail. Auto. All right. Well, that demo fell down. Let's see what happens. I'm going to save it. Local. Part of my problems I'm running by. I picked a small one. It's machine can handle. Wait. Oh, that's the agent. Now, again, agents, point of an agent, it's got a specific function. I use this analogy all the time. Feel free to take this back to your business because this holds true. Every agent, I don't care what platform you're on, I don't care, what language or model you're using, every single agent about the equivalent intelligence of like a third grader. They have an equivalent capability of roughly a grader, a human, third grader. When you give them a novel for instructions and say, here you go, this is how you take out the trash, take out the trash. They're going to make up all kinds of reasons why they couldn't figure out how to get the trash down because the instructions are too complicated. La, 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 la. Right. So every agent, when you give it very specific instructions or very specific tasks, it's going to be way more successful. That's part of the fine tuning process. And as you go through all that fine tuning, the tools over here for fine tuning are going to kind of sort of coach you into that. Make it smaller, better fine tuned instruction. Bullet points mad. Like if you give it a numbered list of things to do in a specific order, that really helps third grader their goal. When you have an army of third graders and you have agent to agent orchestration, all these third graders are taught by a fourth grader what to do. Fourth grader can say, I know what you're in charge of doing. You take out the trash, you do the dishes, you fold the laundry, you put away the laundry. And the fourth grader can tell all of those through orchestration, agent to agent orchestration, what to do. But keeping it simple, instruction set, no, maybe not this short or simple, but you get 8,000 characters on the Copilot Studio. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So, question was, how do you get your agent's interface to power automate? I would recommend you actually don't start raw from scratch here in Foundry Toolkit. Go to Copilot Studio. Let's see if I have an example of that. But in Copilot Studio, when you start with an agent, in Copilot Studio, they're exportable. You can connect to your Copilot Studio Visual Studio Code. There's another toolkit over here for that in the extensions. Install the Copilot Studio. This is my cheater way to do that, and it's so fast. So you do Copilot Studio. Okay, you're going to add this one, Copilot Studio. Once that's installed, hooks directly to your Copilot Studio agent. Authenticate to it. You give it your credential, and it'll see the agent definition that you put in your Copilot Studio and give it instructions like "Hello World." And then from there, Visual Studio you can use Toolkit here to connect all the things because it's aware of Power Automate, apps, it's aware of any of the tools. Remember, Copilot Studio has a few things in there. Lots of different tool types, including Power Automate flows. Got MCP servers, prompts, all of those things. That extension gives you the ability in the toolkit in Visual Studio Code, or with Claude, or with whatever you want to do, your agent development understands how to build the code for each one of those parts. And Foundry. Yeah. Yeah. So the agent itself, well, you know what? What time is it? We got 18 minutes left. Let's see what we can do. Let's install this. I've got a Copilot Studio agent on another browser here. I want to see this. No, it's not that one. Let's back to this one probably. All right. Well, that's not it. Let's go to Copilot Studio. Really? Pilot Studio. Microsoft.com. I'm a long way around, guys. Yeah. Hold that office. Apps. Yeah. More apps. Why this probably would have been better. Just go make the power on. Why am I not seeing? Yeah, let's just do that. We'll go from. Not sure why Copilot Studio Copilot. Man, my fingers are not Copilot. No. Dot Microsoft. Dot Office. Wait. Pilot Studio. Dot. Microsoft. Right? Yeah, that's what I just fat fingered it. Highly likely. They're the end of the day. All right, so we're gonna sign in. Great. Get the thing. Take my right dev environment. Gates. Got some agents over here. Oh, that's default environment. Let's go to dev environment. Dev. Here's an agent. Okay. So with the installation, that's great. Now over here, I'm going to go to Copilot Studio, and it's going to ask for authentication. Down here, and access to Copilot Studio. It says, yeah, which account do you want to use? That's me. I did with that one. Excellent. Or clone an agent. Yeah, so this is VS Code. You don't have to build your Copilot Studio agent. You can do it all in the browser through the Copilot Studio interface, absolutely. Or Foundry even. Like when you're on Foundry portal, logged into Foundry portal, it's very similar to the Copilot Studio interface, the creation interface. You do it all in the browser. But if you wanted to get in and do extra code behind the scene, wanted to get into add some Python logic to what's behind your Copilot Studio agent and then push it out to Foundry, this is the accelerator to do that. So you start with your template in your Copilot Studio, just make a blank. You can publish Foundry, or you can publish it back to Copilot Studio. Once first you would bake it into Copilot Studio and then extract that template and go to Foundry with it. That's the workflow to do it. So here we have, let's see, I was in Richard Toland Dev, and then it says which agent do you want? Let's do agent 1. think that one had some Power Automate, and I'm going to put it here, folder. That works for me. Select the folder. Okay. This takes all that YAML and stuff behind the scenes, what you would get on the export from Power Platform from the zip file. Going to download all that stuff locally. It clones my agent locally. This is like doing a git repo clone kind of thing. And under the agent itself, you can see now I have all the workflow capability, the topics, all the things that come with a Copilot Studio agent right at my fingertips. So to get it to the Power Automate, I could go plug them in the browser, or I could come in here and say, I already have a Power Automate flow that I define. Its name this, add that to it. Claude, we have Claude installed or have whatever, your GitHub Copilot, natural language, just like fetch those things and plug them into this agent, and it'll do it this way. This is way faster than ClickOps through the browser interface. I feel like sometimes though, I'm not a code guy. I'm a Power Platform guy. Code is not for me. So that's why this is a 100 level intro course, because I'm not that pro code guy. So while this is faster when GitHub Copilot is writing my code for me, if I was to do this as a pro coder, I would fall flat on my face, and it's way faster for me and ClickOps on that at that point. Yeah, yeah, and you don't have to pre-build them in the browsers. You can have GitHub Copilot write the code for it and then push them in Copilot Studio back to the agent, or you can configure in the browser and then bring it into Copilot Studio to just tweak. I'm sorry, to VS Code to tweak it a little. Right, so like I could go through this interface, find what I want to, add a tool as a Power Automate flow, or up here they're called workflows. That's all the same plumbing underneath, right? That's all Power Automate. I've got Power Automates that already exist. Like I don't. Okay, so then I can build my own flow here. This saves as Power Automate workflow in behind the scenes. Not to go too far afield into the Power Platform and its solution management, but when I build an agent, everything, every part that I define in my agent is a component in Power Platform. When I go to export that agent, I pull that into a solution and all of its dependencies come with it. The tools, the topics, come back. All of those other pieces, the parts, they'll come with it, including anything that I built in the code and pushed in. All that stuff right back into the solution. Then I can take it out, export that, and import it to a different environment or another tenant, or push that, take that zip file and bring it into Foundry and say, cool, now I've got my agent. Here's all the things that it came with. Push it onto Foundry and run it on Foundry infrastructure if I didn't want it on Copilot or the Power Platform. Yeah, that's all viable. There's an upgrade path for all of that. In fact, if you wanted to start even further left in the timeline, pull it even further left on your timeline. We all think left to right here, I guess. I don't. But if started an agent builder in Copilot's agent builder, just from the M365 Copilot tool, in BizChat, and said new agent there. Those are great. They're super helpful for like read-only stuff and accelerating your day-to-day business. At some point, you're going to go automate it, or like you said, I wish I could hook this into a Power Platform Automate or a Power Automate flow. Sure. Export button there that pushes it right into Copilot Studio. And then you push the limits of Copilot Studio to get as complex as you can with your third grader, maybe give bigger muscles so it can do some harder trash, take the trash out, right? And then you go as far as you can there, and then it needs to be more complex, then you export that one. And there's the VS Foundry Toolkit is kind of that accelerator to help you go from that code, upgrade to or your Foundry code, put some Python in there, and then inject that up. And if you wanted to run local models too, you can take this Copilot Studio agent, hook it in, and then as you pull that into the toolkit can now run it against local models to vet what the performance would look like or the results would look like from your local model run. All right. Good question. Any other questions? I'm going to leave that up. We'll be back to Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is the future, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. So here in your agent MCS YAML, so this will include all of your basic instructions. And then in addition to that, you get an agent's MD file that the plugin will help you build. So as you get your agent's MD file, that's where you embed additional code pieces where you can throw a Py file in here and tell in the agent's MD file, hey, you need to look to the py file too. As a skill, you can bring another MD in as a skill, including leverage this Python for whatever that looks like. It's all markdown. The agent's MD is the first of any markdowns you want to include. So you can say, hey, agent's MD have these 10 skills. One of these is machine learning with Python. One of these is image recognition with Python, or one of these is sentiment analysis with .NET. And all of those are defined in their own MD skills, and the Python code to go with it, or the .NET code that would go with C Sharp. If you're in C Sharp, you take the files, list them off in the skills, and then they kind of like a manifest of all the skills. The agent's MD has all the skills that would be added in, plus and it was up here defined as tools, topics, workflows, how to automate flows, any of that will all come with it. Yeah. Yeah. Good question. All right. Yeah. We could, let's see if we can bake this in. I actually saved this agent. It did. I saved this. Okay. So we could try this one. Just look at my model. Let's jump over and see if we can get to tuning. All right. Well, now this might be a thing. Hold on. I tune. Okay. So only certain models are for your, well, I don't want to say only certain models, but we're gonna run this. I'm gonna grab this model, and it's hosted by Microsoft in Microsoft's cloud. I gotta pick on, yeah, that works. What's not a bad. Let's pick on, I don't know what I've got. C drive repos. Try that one. Select a folder. All right, enter. Folder name cannot be empty. Drive repo. Project name. Got it. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Okay, so the FileCircle here is going to pull in the model lab, look across as you're doing any of your Pi projects. When you're doing your fine tuning here, this is where you'll define your Pi project. And as you look through, README is kind of basic, but it's worth reading. It'll give you some scaffolding for what pieces you're going to bring in to fine tune with. And that'll be like as your Pi definition or whatever code, pick your language. You find the fine tuning modules for when, like a little bit of a router, when you see this trick go this way, that way. And as those come through, the fine tuning Laura, as you get through the Q Laura, you'll see here in the like they all follow the Q Laura kind of pattern. So definitely look that one up. It's listed off. I mean, it's kind of a standardized protocol now, or standardized methodology. As you go through your Q Laura, you're going to define what that looks like for each of the queries that'll come through, and then you push them off to the right optimal location. Kind of how the fine tuning works for bringing in the right RAG, right response. But each of those are defined all the way up here in the Pi project, and they config down below. So pretty straightforward. The README walks you through kind of the scaffolding of how you bring the together here, and then as you run that through, then that'll help you again fine tune the model. That's for really fine tuning the model, different from than tuning an agent. I'll go fine tuning an agent. Tuning an agent comes out of your evaluation to see percentage of accuracy gauged of positive or negative, thumbs up, thumbs down on agent run, and taking that percentage of accuracy to get out of your engagement from the users or from whatever, if it's, the system is returning failed response or can't 403 code because it's not going to accept the JSON that your agent pumped out. You can take those responses back, persistent failures through the agent tuning process, which is it's different, and that's actually not in the toolkit. That's more from the evaluation, from the output of the evaluations in the toolkit, but it's not a separate tool in the toolkit. Okay, so back to the agent. Let's see, and then I don't think we're gonna have. I don't think we have bulk run. You try one. Not sure it's gonna go. My monitor, my tracing, start the collector. Yeah. Do that. That's great. Okay. Setup tricks. Okay. Yes. So, all right. Yep. No, I don't have Python installed yet. So this is going to take a minute. Not sure we'll get there. Let it do its thing. I think my GitHub fail. What? Yeah, that's me. Go. Oh, 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 oh. Hold please. Need a thumbprint. Authenticator. Nobody's stealing my password. What? Let me try this one. Okay. No, I don't need passkey. Because I'm on a Windows 365 computer. Oh, that's stellar. Did it take my token? Try again. Trying. Right. Anyway, okay. I don't know that that's going to for bulk run or tracing here. It's not going to, I didn't have Python installed. Sorry, gang. Let me switch back over here. And let's talk about best practices. So best practice, start small with slims. As you can see, P only got me so far. Phi only got me so far. Jokes, guys. Dad jokes, remember? Okay. But yeah, start small. Depending on where you're going to put it. So like if you got a GPU, great. Get a big model. Run DeepSeek, 14 billion, whatever it is. Put that on your GPU. Watch it crush your machine. Burn the power. If not, then start small. And push the limits of your model because you'll start learning model optimization, smaller models to understand like, do I really need a bigger model? Do I really want to pay for that in Foundry? Because a billion tokens, that's a whole lot of pay that we're going to use. If I don't really need it. So only get as complex as you need to when you need to. Guardrails and evals, iterate, yes, a lot. Modify your data sets and your structured outputs. That's, data in, garbage out. Tell third grader to take it out, right? But structure your data appropriately for the model that you want. The data analysis model, Claude's great at that. Or anything Opus is great on it, not so much. Like structured data, you got to pick the right model for what you're doing and structure your data to fit the model that you want to optimize. Kind of two-way optimization. You will optimize the model and tune the model. Eventually, you'll get to tuning. As you tune that model for the data structure that you have, that's great. Or you structure the data for a model that you want the specific output, but generally not both. You will one or the other, both. Okay, and then mind responsible AI guidance. Give that to everybody. Get Microsoft now. Pay attention. Be responsible with your AI. Do the right things. Don't be nefarious. As I say, not as I no, just kidding. Always responsible. Common use cases, code assistance. There's somebody on the floor out here on the expo floor, AI receptionist. That is a fantastic use case, and I could easily see like building a whole demo stack or building some AI receptionist stuff right through Foundry and the Foundry Toolkit as just kick the tires. Think about that. Like, what would you do if I have a receptionist? I need to answer questions. I've got business processes just to get in here and try to kick the tires in the tool, learn how to put it to practical use case. Document your Q&A and summation are good. Got one that we built in Studio recently that's doing like document extraction and sentiment analysis kind of stuff right out of Word documents and PDF. Broker emails something in. It says, here you go. Here's my document information. Goes, ooh, no, you're off base. You're missing. You're out of compliance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Down here at the bottom is this notebook that I mentioned, LM. Grab that URL. I know that's a lot to type in. I wish I had a QR code for you, but I don't. But I'm going to open it anyways. And I think I'm at time. But if you guys have questions, I can stick around and answer any questions you might have. Here is the Toolkit. Here is the mind map. As we expand off on the mind map that I was mentioning. Actually, you know what? This will do a QR code while it here. Share. Yes, save, share, create a QR code. Grab that. Click. I'm gonna. No, this is all Google. Don't tell anybody. Got to use the tools. Yeah, I use this for comparative analysis, so I can tell the Copilot team how to make Note better. That's what I'm doing. It's but anyway, so this is some of this is a little dated. It's still all called AI Toolkit, but it's great from a foundational knowledge perspective and includes a ton of information in there for you. So feel free, click around in here, look at the mind map. There's an executive summary that's available in their toolkit too. Or I'm sorry, in the notebook. You all were you able to access it? Asking you for permission. Okay, all right. I will get like 100 requests and I'll go and approve all those for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when they all start coming through, they haven't come in yet. I'm sorry, what? Yes, it does. Yeah. I can share here, but it does it's like named people only. I'm sorry. So no, not like a, oh no, wait, link. Let's try this. Copy that link. Save. Let's go ahead. I do. Yeah. My function at Microsoft, I'm a solutions engineer and I'm primarily only Power Platform, Copilot Studio, and Copilot in financial services industry, but I can teach whatever. I'm out here in community teaching all kinds of stuff. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. That was that first QR code I put up there. If you need it again, I can put it up there. But reach out to me on LinkedIn and let's get some scheduled. You bet. So there's my contact info. And anybody in here, if you're not already connected with me, let's get on LinkedIn. Feel free. We're all community. Reach out. If you got questions, hit me up. I don't know all the answers, but I know a lot of people that know all the smarter stuff than me. So I can get you connected. Cool. And thanks for coming to my talk.